Hello, everyone. Welcome to another book talk here at 8 Letters Bookstore and Publishing. I'm your host and creative director, Cindy Wong, and happy 2026. And so, this will be one of our new book talks here to 8 Letters this year. And of course, we're going to talk about the book written by I.C. Galvan. Every woman carries a story, though not all are told. Some are whispered in the dark, some are buried under silence, and some are disguised behind smiles that don't reach the eyes. So, today we're going to talk about Broken Heroines by IC Galvan. IC, welcome to 8 Letters. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Miss Cindy. Thank you so much for having me, and it's nice to finally meet you.
Likewise, IC. So let's get into the questions na agad. Because I noticed, when you look at the cover of the book, I feel like it's something very relatable. Ayun, very, very relatable to women out there. Kung hindi man ikaw, maybe someone you know, or someone close to you. Iris, why did you decide to write such a powerful book?
Um, Broken Heroines began as a deeply personal passion project, a tribute to my late mother. But as I neared its completion, I realized it had grown into something much bigger than that. It became a mission to speak about the things we are often afraid or ashamed to speak about. Stories silenced by fear of judgment, dismissal, or the painful lack of support, even from those who have endured similar experiences. So, as I was finishing the book, I reflected on how many works or books I've read before about TV or domestic violence, child abuse, and trauma. And while those stories are important, I wanted Broken Heroines to take a gentler yet equally powerful approach. Instead of telling readers what to do, the book focuses on resonance, allowing them to see themselves in the stories, to feel understood, and to arrive at their own realizations. I believe healing begins when people feel seen and not instructed, and that is heart of Broken Heroines. Because sometimes as friends, some of our friends treat or consider us as their confidants. We tend to over we tend to give them the pieces of advice that they haven't asked for, and also without realizing that they just need someone to listen to them and to make them feel that they are seen and felt.
I'm sure we all have our share of these stories. And itong mga stories na to, sometimes hindi na siya nasisikatan ng araw. Like, they're all buried underneath, right? I myself
That's
have my own share. But I want to also be clear, for our viewers' sake, na there are several characters in this book, and all of them are fictional characters, but they are based in real life stories. And of course, there's your story in it as well in chapter 10. Um, yeah, so, in a way, it's women's fiction, but then at the same time, it can also be identified as a self help book, I believe. So several characters. There's Eliza, Bernadette, Martha. I want to get into their brain. I see. So how do societal expectations influence the decisions of the characters in the book? And can you relate any of these pressures to real life situations na you usually observe and experience?
Mhm. Now, in this book, societal expectations play a powerful role in shaping the choices of the characters, often in quiet but damaging ways. So many of them feel pressured to stay silent, to endure, or to keep the family together, without considering their own well being, even at the cost of it. So, you expectations around being a good daughter or strong mother or a self-sacrificing woman often force them to choose survival over self-expression, and these unspoken rules create an environment where pain is normalized and suffering is hidden, and these pressures are deeply rooted in real life. Growing up, I witnessed and experienced how society often teaches women to be resilient to the point of self neglect, even my own mom. And we are expected to be patient, forgiving, and strong, even when we are already hurting, because that is what we are expected of. And in many households, especially in traditional settings, abuse and dysfunction are dismissed as private matters. Hindi pwedeng pag-usapan. Even if we already know that it's the elephant in the room. And speaking up is seen as shameful. It's because uh, babae tayo, hindi tayo pwedeng mag-voice out. We are not allowed to speak about what we feel and what we endure because of kahihiyan yon sa lipunan. And Broken Heroines reflects these realities. The characters' struggles mirror the lives of a lot of women globally who feel trapped between who they are and who they are expected to be. So through their stories, I wanted to show how um, these expectations can break someone, but also how awareness and courage and healing can slowly dismantle them. So this book is both a reflection of lived experiences and a call to question the standards that ask women to endure more than they should. And just like what Miss Cindy has mentioned about this book earlier, yes, it's quite of a self-help book, but again, it is not focused on directing you or instructing you what to do, but by there are parts of the book that would give you um, a realization or self-reflection um, at your own pace and on your own accord.
And I guess that's why, I mean, these societal expectations, I would say these are the reasons why they don't just, women don't just easily leave. They stay. They
Yes.
want to be, yeah, they stay, right?
Yes.
So eto, they suffer in silence. The book emphasizes nga pala, silence in the face of pain. Wow. So this is a very, very heavy phrase in the book. How would you interpret this theme of silence? And uh, well, of course, there's the societal expectations and the decisions that we have to make. And of course, there are the implications. What are the implications naman for the characters involved?
Um, in this book, silence is both a shield and a wound. So, for many of the characters, Eliza, Autumn, Martha, Bernadette, Sarah, Nancy, and all those characters, staying silent becomes a way to survive, to protect themselves, to avoid conflict, or to preserve the image of family and normalcy. And that is why, when you notice, if you are also a victim of DV and abuse, when you try to confide with someone, you are often being dismissed. It's because of it's part of the society, not just here in the Philippines, but this is it's a global thing. Silence is learned early, often imposed by fear, shame, or the belief that speaking out will only make things worse. So, however, the same silence carries heavy consequences. It allows pain to deepen and trauma to linger unspoken. Hindi siya talaga masyadong napag-uusapan, even if we have already have seen a lot of movies and books about these tackling the same theme that the book has. The characters begin to internalize their suffering, questioning their worth, and blaming themselves for what they endure because they're being gaslit and they're being manipulated. They're being forced to believe the things that they're not supposed to. So they are afraid to break free from it. And silence, in this sense, becomes a form of quiet imprisonment. Sometimes, even if the cage is already ajar, if it's already quite open and you already have the chance to break free, you're still scared. It keeps them safe on the surface, but they're thinking that it's more scary to break free. It's because that means they are going to start all over again, and that's one of the things that most women are scared of. And at the same time, Broken Heroines also explores how silence can be broken. When the characters begin to confront their pain through reflection, writing, or self awareness, it transforms into voice. And the act of naming the pain becomes the first step toward healing. And that's the beauty of it because the book suggests also that while silence is or may protect us from being hurt, from being battered, healing requires change and the courage to speak, to be seen, and to reclaim one's story. Breaking the silence is not easy, but eventually, if we are able to break free from it, then there's growth, freedom, and survival.
Yes, thank you for sharing, Iris. So that's why sabi mo nga kanina, even if yung perspective kasi ng mga taong or mga babaeng nasa loob versus yung mga taong nasa labas, like very very different na. So even if the door is already open, it can be very difficult. Maybe in the not maybe, but in their mind to start all over again. Let's take for example Erika's journey. So uh I mentioned there are a few characters in the book. One of them is Erika. So she's been struggling with breaking free from a toxic relationship. Like she keeps on returning to it, and we know so many people, right?
Yes.
What factors do you believe contribute to this cycle, and how can awareness of these factors help others? You mentioned about taking the step or breaking free, like taking the decision, but then we all know that there are factors as well. But how do they, or maybe they're already aware, but how do we get them out of that situation?
One of the characters, like you said, it's Erika. Erika's journey reflects a very real and painful cycle that many people, many women experience in toxic relationships. Of course, we are not just um, saying, we're not saying that only women are abused, but also it's genderless actually, but we are focusing on the most abused creature on earth, which is women, who is women. And leaving is not always the hardest part, but staying is. What pulls Erica back isn't love, I think it's ego because she carries the weight of being the one expected to keep the household whole, even when doing so is costing her peace. And another powerful factor is fear of being replaced, forgotten, or perceived as the one who gave up. And that's why a lot of men, um, not only nowadays, but it's been going on. They don't have the guts to break up or ruin the marriage because they're always waiting for women or their wives to break up or give up. It's because they are afraid to be tagged by the society. So when Erica realizes someone else has, temporarily stepped into her place, it awakens an internal conflict na sabi niya, hindi pwede to. Dapat ako pa rin. Ako yung legal. Ako yung asawa. So I have to choose between self-worth and obligation. And she chose her obligation. And she begins to question her role, not because the relationship suddenly became healthy or um, she has seen some positive changes sa husband niya, but because society often teaches women that their value lies in holding families together at all cost. So becoming aware of these factors, emotional dependency, societal pressure, guilt, and the fear of abandonment. Also, let's include fear of starting all over again. Maybe no one will love me anymore. No one will accept me for who I am anymore. Can help others recognize that returning to toxic situation is not a failure, but um, a symptom of unresolved wounds and external expectations. So awareness gives people language for what they are feeling and helps remove the shame. Kasi yun ang lagi nating iniisip na nahihiya tayo and nababalot tayo ng kahihiyan. It's because that is how we were molded. And more importantly, it creates space for compassion for themselves and for others while reminding them that choosing peace and safety is not selfish but necessary.
Right. So this is such a very empowering book, what you've written, I see. So let's step out of it for a bit, and let's talk about you being the author of the book. Sometimes we always say this, that it's the book who chooses the author, not the author choosing the book. Yeah. So
Exactly.
your background in storytelling and broadcasting enriches your narrative style. If I've read your bio, you have all the attributes in writing this book. But how does your authorial voice enhance the themes of the book? And why do you think this book or this collection chooses you?
Well, my background in storytelling and broadcasting has taught me how to listen. That's the most important thing, to listen to people, to words that are unspoken, to silence, and to emotions that often go unnoticed. And that experience shaped my authorial voice in Broken Heroines. I learned early on that powerful stories don't always need to be loud. Sometimes they resonate most when they are told with restraint, honesty, and intention. And I think that is my intention for my stories to be told. And not only my story, but a lot of women who also experiencing the same struggles and who haven't found their voice and courage yet. So in broadcasting, clarity and connection are essential. So you speak not just to inform, but to make people feel understood. And sometimes only audio, because when we interview people, for example, who what they feel after winning certain promos or giveaways, so that is real time. But book, the recognition or reception is sometimes it is not real time, because they have to um, absorb it, read it first before they can make review on it. So with broadcasting and caring, I carry the same approach into my writing. So my voice in Broken Heroines is intimate. People will see that because um, in reality, I love reading thrillers, and I injected some of the plot twists into this book, and that style came from my love and my obsession for thriller books. So I think people who have been reading my stories and other writing platforms, online platforms, have been familiar with it. So here, my voice in Broken Heroines is reflective, allowing the themes of trauma, resilience, um, the importance of survival and healing to unfold naturally rather than being forced onto the reader. Because for me, as an avid reader as well, I don't want to be forced. And as a victim of an abuse, or someone who came from an abusive family or household, I don't want to be forced. So that is how I intended this book to be received by the readers. I don't want them to be forced as well. So because of this, the book leans into emotional truth and relatability. So the narratives are shaped to give space for pause, reflection, recognition. So they can sit with the stories and see parts of it na, ay parang ako yan. Ako to eh. I've been there. In many ways, my authorial voice acts as a bridge. So it guides readers through difficult themes with compassion. So if they're reading Broken Heroines, it's like they're just nakikipagmarites lang sila sa mga friends nila, and nagko-confide lang sila sa mga friends nila, close friends nila, and they won't feel that, hey, I'm a PhD, that's why I have a PhD, I wrote this, I have the authority to write this. They will never feel that. So I focus on honoring the silence, strength, and survival at the heart of this book, Broken Heroines.
Thank you for sharing that, Icy. For our viewers, I just want to remind you guys to make sure to get a copy. You know, in the caption, you'll find the links to the Amazon shop, website, Shopee, and Lazada. So you have all those options. Um, I see. Yeah, I can actually see the titles behind you. Like they're all like the thrillers. So yeah, these are the giveaways. So I feel like these elements, they help you. They really help you in in writing this story, and of course getting this book out there. Well, congratulations, Icy, in getting to this stage.
Thank you so
To
much.
Yes, and
Thank
I'm
you. Without
sure.
the help of the team, 8 letters, oh my gosh, I never imagined how tedious it is to get to this point. And I'm very, very thankful for the whole team, especially the project manager, very patient team, because it's my first time. It's not my first time to write, but it's my first time to publish in print. And it's very helpful, very helpful.
Thank you. I'm glad the system work. And so I see, this is just the beginning. There'll be a lot of things that we have to do in getting this book out of the world. We want this book to be read by many. So we're just starting. And especially this very, very powerful book. I see. Where can we follow you? Where can we find? Where can we follow you in your journey? Maybe you have any upcoming works, etc. Do you have any social media that where we can follow you? We can share it with the viewers right now.
Yeah, they can follow me on Facebook.
Mm.
It's IC Galvan, and also on Instagram, same IC Galvan underscore author. And I'm already halfway through with working on my second book. This is actually different from this. I want to talk more about it. It's because it has elements of something that most gens, not only Gen Z, but Gen X and millennials can relate to, or resonate with. It's because it's satirical fiction, and it's lighter, but it's real because it's funnier, and it's not as emotional as Broken Heroines. So I hope people will also stay tuned for that. I'm really excited to be working with you again for my with on my second book.
We're very much looking forward to that. I see. Well, thank you so much for gracing our show, 8 Letters Book Talk, and of course to our viewers. Do you have any last words before we part? There you go. There's a book.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Miss Cindy, and thank you so much, 8 Letters, for giving me this opportunity to come up with a very important legacy. This is not just a book. Um, uh, this is a choir. This is a group of voices, of people, especially women. If you haven't found your voice and your courage yet, always remember that you are not alone, and your pain is valid and real. And always trust the right support system, and also you are not beyond repair, and so uh, you are valued. Always remember that. Even if I have come up with this quote very late, as I after finishing the book. In brokenness there is beauty, and in pain there is power. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Icy. We all salute you in writing this book and getting this far. Thank you very much once again to our viewers as well. And we hope to see you again next Saturday. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Bye.
Icy.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Bye.
Miss Cindy.